Photoshop?
You're on.
All right, a few more slides there a little bit. A lot of this kind of just like goes back over what we already learned. So back to reading smoke a little bit. The four things they talked about when they talk about reading smoke is the volume, velocity, density, and color. All right, the volume kind of tells you about the BTUs, the size of the fire. Okay, velocity, how much it's pushing out, the pressure is that's inside. All right, the heat level, the density, how thick it is. All right, versus just a little bit of light smoke versus heavy smoke. And obviously the color tells you kind of what's on fire, right? Most everything now we roll up, it's going to be black smoke is what's burning.
Plastics.
Plastics, synthetics, all right?
Polywashmacollis.
Polywashmacollis, all right? What indicates that it's in the structure?
Brown.
What color?
Brown.
Brown, right? Going to be hard to see probably with all that other crap burning, so just know that. Flow path and fire spread, we already discussed it a little bit. All right, there's your unidirectional flow path versus your bidirectional. There's your inlet on this side, comes up here to your fire, and the exhaust is up here. So that's one direction, unidirectional. Bidirectional, you got your clean, good air coming in, the exhaust, the heat, the smoke going out over top. Like we talked about, the closer that neutral plane gets to the ground, that's when flashover is imminent. There's stuff we've already discussed. All right, they're just showing you here how the neutral plane kind of drops to where you have flashover. All right, everything above is that heat and fuel we talked about. Everything below is the good air going in. All right. I haven't seen this video yet. This is a new PowerPoint, so.
The goal of the fire attack crew is to swiftly and effectively find and extinguish the fire. The TI can assist firefighters in achieving this goal when used correctly. To facilitate the use of the TI during fire attack operations, the go, no-go decision-making model can be applied. This model provides diagnostic considerations for fire attack to enhance survivability and minimize rapid fire growth. To implement this model effectively, crews must understand that the presence of a model component does not automatically mean firefighters should not go. Instead, if a model component exists, firefighters should address it by applying water, thereby enhancing the survivability for victims and crews and preventing the fire from worsening. The go, no-go decision-making model consists of four components. The first component involves utilizing the TI to detect excessive heat that requires cooling. The TI accomplishes this by adjusting sensitivity or displaying various color ranges on the screen. This can be crucial because firefighters may not perceive the heat due to the protected nature of their firefighting gear. However, victims lack this protection, making it essential for firefighters to promptly identify and cool the heat to enhance safety before conditions deteriorate. The second component involves determining whether the neutral plane or thermal layer occupies more than 50% of the space. Keep in mind that the neutral plane can be observed visually, while the thermal layer is identified using the TI in limited or zero visibility conditions. If the neutral plane or thermal layer exceeds 50% of the space, it is crucial to take action and apply water to improve the conditions. Failure to address the deteriorating conditions will cause the neutral plane and or thermal layer to descend further as the room temperature rises, adversely affecting both victims and firefighters. The third component involves high velocity smoke or fast moving convection currents. High velocity smoke is observable with the naked eye, while the convection currents can be detected using the TI. Both rapid smoke movement and fast moving convection currents indicate escalating fire behavior and should be addressed to improve fire conditions. The fourth and final component of the model depends on the crew's skill in accurately interpreting the diagnostic data provided by the TI and applying it effectively. By properly incorporating the TI, crews can mitigate the progression of fire conditions. Additionally, When used correctly, the TI aids crews in swiftly locating the origin of the fire. Integrating the TI may only take a few seconds, but it can save critical minutes for both victims and firefighters. Remember, this model does not imply never go. Its purpose is to assist firefighters in recognizing unfavorable conditions and determining when it is necessary to address those conditions before proceeding further. During the process of extinguishing the fire and cooling down superheated gases, it is important for crews to use the TI effectively to ensure precise water application. As the gases contract and cool, the thermal layer should ascend, resulting in color palette changes on the TI. If necessary, crews can follow this sequence. First, wipe the lens, then the TI screen, and finally, wipe their masks. In summary, the TI is a valuable tool used in fire attack. It complements the decision-making abilities of crews and enables them to quickly identify worsening fire conditions and low visibility. By utilizing the TI effectively for a few seconds, valuable minutes can be saved for the safety of both crews and victims alike.
Who feels that they got enough training when the thermal imagers came out and got put on the truck? When we first got thermal imagers, who feels that they got enough training for that, or did they just put them on the truck? Chief, you're out in company. What do you think?
We got one thermal imager. We got very minimal training with it, to the point it only took us 9 days to break it.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like we probably didn't get enough training for what the thermal imager could do for us and how to identify those situations, right? It was kind of like, here, take it and go play it.
what we did a lot of training was we did it in the classroom here, and everything is inverted. We didn't do live fire training
Right.
to see actual fire conditions. It works, and I could do it really well to this day with here.
Right.
But that's searching in the woods or something like that, not searching in a fire.
And I'm finding that it's a lot of places are kind of the same way, right? They put the thermal imagers on the truck, they do the training like that, but not in like real live fire situations to get the actual color palettes that they expect to get. So, if anybody sees Insight training online, they have a lot of thermal imager training, and then they're really, really good. They came over to the Fire Academy, they did a 5-day train the trainer class, and a couple guys who retired with like 30 years on the job was like, that's the best class I've ever taken in my life. I was shown things that I've never been shown before with a thermal imager, and I probably could have used, back when they were out in company. So thermal imagers are something we just haven't learned a whole lot about, and haven't been able to kind of put them to our best use or be comfortable with them. Start to show a little bit of flashovers from real life here, from real videos. Maybe. So they're inside right now. I believe this is the one where they got a crew inside at the moment. Watch this guy right here, what he does. Remember we talked about that freelancing? What's he doing? Breaking the window? Get the other window. Right over the crew that's on the hand line.
The other guy's on the big window.
Watch these guys go out of here, man.
They come out of the front window?
What's that?
They come out of the front window?
They're coming out the front door right now. Room and contents entirely involve first floor with guys inside, alright? Understand what your actions are going to cause.
Now, to be fair, that was in 07. That's right when fire behavior, flow path, all that was starting to have the discussions
Probably
on
so.
that.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
these guys were probably
Yep.
still trained, as like I said, us old guys were, was to take that window.
Yeah. Not bashing on anything, it's just a learning,
It's
you
what we
know,
we
it's
were
a good
taught to
video,
do.
good video on fire behavior and what not to do now that we know, right?
We know differently now, so you guys don't make those same mistakes.
I think this is an uncharged hose line
Yeah.
in the front door. Again, what did we used to do? Uncharged hay lines. All the time. I think they take a picture window out. Charge the line. That's what he's saying. I'm hearing stories of where insurance companies are now looking at videos like that on the actions that the fire department takes, whether it helped or whether it hurt in the claim of the insurance being filed and whether they're gonna pay out the claim or not, depending on what the actions are.
And I think you will see a lawsuit come against the fire department because of their poor actions,
I
poor
agree.
tactics.
I agree. Don't wanna be us.
So the biggest thing to come down to is get water on the fire, everything gets better. Just get water on the fire and a lot of those problems go away.
You're looking at that slide, aren't you, Chief?
Oh, no, that's always saying.
We can skip that one in just a minute. Again, talking about coordinating the attack, know the location of the fire. Like I said, ask the occupant if you're not sure, all right? They can hopefully give you the directions to right where it's at. Pick the correct line, right? Nowadays, that's not too difficult for us because most of the time we're pulling the 1 3/4, right? What do we used to pull? Sometimes we pull 2 1/2 on the first in line, right?
So big fire, big water, but sometimes speed, like cornerback blitz versus a linebacker blitz.
Right, absolutely. Plus the manpower. How much personnel does it take to move a 2 1/2 versus an 1 3/4 and, you know, getting exhausted and all that stuff. You guys have been in some of these houses in Springfield with an 1 3/4.
Quarter by yourself.
Can you imagine a 2 1/2 through some of these order homes? It's pretty difficult.
I'm just looking around.
Coordinate attack with ventilation, like you
Sure,
said.
I can't say that.
If you don't coordinate attack with ventilation, things could get bad real quick instead of getting better. Always, consider that transitional attack option if you can. Right? Remember, that's just a tool in the toolbox. Doesn't mean we always have to do it, but consider it. First line in the right place, and then pull additional lines. The saying, the fire goes as the first line goes, right? If the first line doesn't go well, then you're probably not gonna have a good outcome. So try to make sure you get that first line in place in the right spot right away. What else do we have to do here before we pull additional lines or put them in service?
Get to hydrant line.
Gotta make sure you have a water supply, unless
The battalion chief tells
you're
you.
ordered by the battalion chief and you reconfirm it. I have no water supply. Are you sure? Yep. Okay. Or unless you're doing a blitz attack most of the time. Move and flow and go. All right, cool as you go. Never crawl underneath that environment without cooling it. Take your thermal imagers in the fire behavior lab when it comes. All right, and we'll remind you to do that again. When you sit up in the very front of the fire behavior lab, and Zach can tell you he's been in it. you're gonna see a pretty good show, but when you're moved to the back of the trailer, you're not gonna see anything. It's all gonna be smoky and everything, and being able to look above you to see exactly what temperatures are above you, and you'll be able to see the fingers rolling above you, even though you can't see it without that tick. So, and also we have people look at each other's gear, all right? What's the gear look like, you know, from the people sitting up front versus the instructor who's sitting in the same spot for the whole time, all right? How saturated is that gear getting? There you go, Chief. I know no fire was got worse by putting water on it. I know a lot of fires was got a lot worse by delaying water. So get water on the fire. Fire is number one. Maybe if you get that fire out, everything else is gonna get better, all right? Anybody know who that guy is right there?
Bill Custis.
Yeah, well, what happened just recently?
He just committed
I believe he
suicide.
took his own life.
Yes.
For reasons we don't
Yeah,
know
like-
why, but.
Like within the last
Week.
week or so. Yeah.
47 years in the fire service, one of the most nationally known speakers.
And learners. He would walk into somebody's class. I think I saw somebody on Facebook who did a little tribute to him, said he walked into my class at FDIC and sat down and had his notepad out, and I was like, holy crap, here's a guy who's been in the fire service for how long, and he's still taking classes, writing notes down from other people, so.
So I don't know why he did, but.
Like I said, we've hit on this a lot, okay, we gotta be careful with ventilation. The days of just busting out windows are over with. Make sure you have an order before you ventilate, make sure it's coordinated, all right? Can you guys see that picture at all?
Yes.
Check that out. I think that's pretty funny every time I teach this class. They got a roof ladder up there, but what's missing?
No ladder to get up to the roof ladder.
Yes. They use the roof ladder up and then pull it up, or what? They also looks like they're putting a hose line in through the roof hole, so. Again, I don't know what's going on there, but.
I presume the ladder's off camera.
Maybe it's off the other side,
but-
don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know. So, just remember, all right, when you make that vent point, it can flash all the way back to the fire, kind of like what we saw in that first video. It's probably gonna go all the way back to the fire, and who's in the way of that? Your other crews, right? So you're gonna take them out. So, like I said, communicate. That's the big thing. Communication is always on pretty much about every NIOSH report that you read. It's poor communication. So, we gotta get better at that. Traditional fire curve on the left-hand side. That was taught back when Chief Smith and Captain Bowen and us, right, took the class. You had your ignition, your growth period to fully develop the decay. Well, now it's a little bit different. You got your ignition point, it goes vent limited, right? And then we arrive, and then it flashes. All right, so that's the modern fire development curve. Things happen a lot faster now.
Or it might also happen because the windows break, or there's an article.
Yes.
Elyria Fire Department, the neighbors broke all the windows, because the neighbors, they don't know any better.
Or who else doesn't know any better?
Cops.
There you go. Cops, they don't know any better. But yeah, you're right, the window may fail,
Mhm.
given that option. It's not
Yeah.
always us, but yes, or neighbor, or the PD. So,
Question.
yes.
Why in traditional fire behavior did we not see vent limited as often?
It's that traditional, like that's the modern versus legacy stuff, right? It didn't, have you ever seen the side-by-side videos of the modern legacy?
Couch.
The one room gets to flash within like 6 minutes because of what's in there.
I see.
Right, and then, you know, with the older stuff, it takes like a half an hour for it to get to that, or it never gets to that point.
Sure.
The rate of heat
So-
release has grown so much in our careers that it's gone from 30 minutes to 5 minutes. Dave Dawson, he mentioned about this security smoke, and the big thing he talked about was, I'm really sorry for you young guys. I fought fire in old legacy houses. I got to be in there for a half hour more and control it. You don't have that time. You either control it in the first few minutes or get the hell out, because it's gonna take off on you.
Yeah, what do you say, we're fighting explosive fires
Yeah.
in disposable buildings.
Yes.
What he was talking about, right? So yeah. Yeah, this is my favorite video.
This is not gonna go well.
So what do you, on your 360, what do you see? Do you think that building looks a whole lot different from the front compared to the back?
Yep.
So on your 360, what do you see?
Probably one
Fire
story.
basement.
Okay, one story of the basement, the fire's obviously where?
Basement.
In the basement, right? What do we have good access for? What are we gonna do with our line?
Fire attack right there.
Redeploy to the Charlie side, right? And get fire attack.
That's what you did. Cause you're getting all the smoke and heat out.
Yeah, it's pushing out of there now. And there goes our guy.
Oops.
But it's pushing out of there. There's some ass behind that, and there it goes.
All the smoke left, fire came with it.
Well, we know what to do with that.
That's a ladder pipe up.
How many of you guys have wedges on your helmet? Who's older guys? Always did, cause I wedged every single door I went by, every single door.
Yep.
Well, and then that's the way I was taught in the fire academy in '97. Wedge the door behind you because of what?
It may
Close
close.
on.
It may close and trap you. I mean, so
So I wedged every single door I went by.
28 years ago, that's what we were taught. Crazy. Just a little cartoon they threw in there from Paul Combs. I can see Corey doing something like that to somebody if he needed to. He got pissed off at him. Door and window control, again, we gotta control those exits. Some of the bigger departments out west, I believe they even have a door control guy whose only job is to control the door as the line's moved in and out. We're not lucky enough to have that personnel or that manpower to do that, but we gotta kind of be cognizant that we're doing that.
California, it's become the forceful entry guy. It's his role. That's all he does is force the door, and
Forceful
then,
entry and-
then he stands there and controls the door.
Control
From,
That's a good point, when you're forcing entry, make sure you just keep that door shut until the line's ready to roll.
And then European departments are buying this like cover to put over
The
the
blanket?
door. Like
The blanket on the door?
or so they can go through
Yeah.
it, but it won't close.
Oh, yes, yeah, I have seen that.
Hmm.
So just it says by controlling the door, we can limit or prevent oxygen from coming in, controlling the fire growth, all right? So again, why is the change? It's because of the buildings that we're working in, right? Construction and what we're putting in these buildings. So here they're just showing, the fire department shows up here, we've already talked about it, right? Just a little bit of light, hazy smoke, lazy, all right? We make entry, we gave it that oxygen, now we got fire pushing out the side and the smoke's starting to become blacker and it's starting to push out a little bit more. Little video on controlling the door. Why do you control the door? Everybody see the dollhouse videos? They've been around for a long time. That's amazing. I watched those videos. I think Chief Lynn was kind of ahead of the time a little bit because we had that little glass, that
Yeah,
little
the
plastic
little dollhouse he
box
built.
that he bought that he just put smoke bombs in and
Yep.
we were controlling them. That was before the dollhouse, I believe, wasn't it? Or maybe around the same time?
At the same time.
That's
Yeah,
it,
yeah, it was. So that just shows you what happens when you leave the door open and you feed it the oxygen it's wanting. And that's basically essentially what we do in the fire behavior lab. We have OSB, particle board, and straw. That's all it is, and everything's ran by two vents, one in the front and one in the back. And instructor up front doesn't even really put water on the fire. He pencils it a little bit across the ceiling, just makes a little bit of steam to kind of set the fire back, reset it a little bit while everybody moves around. And the entire thing is ran with vent controls and with side windows.
The power of door control.
He just started to talk about door control.
Flashback to Project Kill Flashover in 2011, when the first research burns was conducted. With a couch, a chair, one pallet, and a bale of straw. This room is allowed to grow to almost flashover, and then two firefighters at the door simply close the door. What's extremely impressive about this is that firefighters are taught the effects of steam expansion, 1700 to 1 at 212 degrees. But many of us are not questioning where that data came from. Steam expansion tables come from the railroad industry and are based on pressure, which are true in most cases. However, firefighters are not taught gas contraction. So if we cool or control the air to the fire, we can cause the gases to contract and lift at a rate of 6,401. So by simply closing the door and cutting off the oxygen to the fire, it begins to cool and the gases contract, as you see here. The thermocouple reading went from 1,200 degrees to as low as 400 degrees at the 4-foot level. That's impressive. You must stress that thermal imaging cameras do not read gas temperatures, do not read surface temperatures accurately. They see the effects of these surfaces in thermal patterns. And the camera is simply confirming what's occurring that we see recorded on the thermocouple data. Thermal imaging cameras gives you a visual display of what's occurring in physics in zero visibility.
Did you guys see it go from red, and then when they shut the door, that all disappeared and it became yellow, and then eventually got cooler than that. So simple door control, right? That's why they threw that I in on VES, right? It used to be VES, now it's VEIS, right? Control that door, close that door, and isolate that room off, right? That door is going to hold up, give you a little bit of time. Anybody seen there was a podcast, I think I just shared it, was just a little blip with Steve Robertson from Columbus. Was talking about when he was brand new to the Columbus Fire Department. One of his first fires, he was having a hard time finding the fire. I don't know if they had a thermal imager or not. Back when he started, they probably didn't have thermal imagers, but he said that he couldn't find it. The heat was pretty bad, and it was zero visibility. And he said the captain pushed his face to the floor and said, "Hey, do you see fresh air moving somewhere?" And he shined his light and said, "It's moving to the right." And he said, "Well, the fire's that way." And he said he turned the corner, and there it was. So he got to the floor just to see where the little bit of fresh air was moving towards the fire, and that pointed him in the right direction. So I thought it was, and he said, you know what the most important thing about that is? That's not in any book. It's not in any book. So, transitional attack, 6 scenarios to consider the blitz attack. All right, you got a high life hazard, well-involved fire, rapidly developing, kind of like what we had on Euclid, right? It was getting out of control pretty quick. The radiant heat was pretty bad, needed to be knocked down. So basement fires are huge. All right, if you have a basement fire and you can bust a window out down there and flow water in there before you make entry, make things better for yourselves by getting water on that fire, do a transitional attack, and then find a better way in. Difficult or delayed hose stretch. All right, sometimes we're going to have that depending on some of our garden departments, or like I talked about the homes there on Belmont. It's going to possibly delay our hose stretch. VEIS or need for rescue. You got to knock the fire down to get in through a window or reset the fire for any victims that might be inside. And then obviously limited or short staffing, which, you know, we could probably be short staffed on maybe a second fire or something like that, or the first fire, depending on what the run volume's like. So
Well, also as the city expands and some
Yes.
of you get transferred out to 6s, the new 6s, you might be by yourself for a while.
Yep. Everybody seen the video from out there? The first fire that was from my helmet camera. That was a transitional. That was a blitz attack. So, and we had actually people there pretty quick with us.
Yeah.
Not too far behind us.
Because you guys weren't in your engine when
Yeah.
it came in.
Yeah,
Backing in.
We had just backed the medic unit in
Okay.
when that fire alarm came. So because we were still convoy back then. So, but that was a blitz attack. So, my first fire as an officer, we had 2 house fires one on North Greenmont and one on South Greenmont. We were the only engine left in the city, and that's all we could do. We didn't have anybody else with us, so we pulled the deck gun and blitzed it until we could get some help to arrive. All right. The new engines have, at least I know our engine has a much sweeter deck gun on it if you got to use it. It's a lot quicker to deploy than what the older ones did. It's basically telescoping like old Rescue 1. I think new Rescue 1's also telescoping, but you just pull it up and you're ready to go. You don't have to take the top of it off, put on an extension, and put it back on top of it. It's ready to roll. So a lot better. Okay? If you got to use it, use it. You know, you can put out a lot of fire with, 500 gallons a minute. Just remember what your tanks have in them, and how long you got water, especially if you're pumping. All right, a couple minutes.
Yeah, but that,
At most.
500 gallons in the first minute may make
Yep.
all the difference than
Absolutely.
waiting 2 or 3 minutes to get a supply line down.
Yep, yep.
At least
Agreed.
reset the fire.
Agree, chief. Yep. A little bit on search VIS. Okay, try to stay oriented. We have oriented search here with our ticks. All right, adjust your search to the fire conditions. Always know 2 ways out. Okay, you're only as good as your last known exit. We got to use our ticks. Everybody take their ticks with them every time. What about the seats? You guys always have your seats with you? All right. You guys that are young that are getting into the acting position, don't get off that truck without taking that FLIR camera with you. All right. Use it like this. Turn it sideways when you're looking at stuff. Why do I want to turn it sideways?
Bigger picture.
Gives you a bigger picture. Gives you a different look at it. All right. One of the guys from Insight taught me. He said, I can sweep the room like this and miss somebody totally on the floor. But if I'd have swept it like this and had a better up down view, I'd have picked them off laying on the floor. This way versus this way. Do it both ways if you can. All right. Get used to that color palette that's on the side of there. What the color palette's telling you, not just solely relying on that temperature gauge that's on there. All right. Close the door to limit fire spread, like I talked about, especially if you're moving down the hallway with a hose line. Pull those doors shut from the bedrooms. Maybe they got a window open in there. If you shut that door, then you just shut off a flow path. All right. So shut them down as you go. Backdraft, pressurized smoke, small openings, okay? It's kind of like the building's breathing a little bit. It's kind of like we talked earlier, the smoke stained windows, high heat, low visibility. All right, once we introduce that oxygen, you're gonna get the explosion. What's the difference between a backdraft and a smoke explosion? That's a tough question, right? I mean, you see all these explosions on videos and they're calling it backdrafts, or some of them are calling it a smoke explosion. You really can't tell, right? So when I did some online research myself, basically the difference between the two of them is a backdraft is brought on by some sort of ventilation change, where a smoke explosion is not. So
What
that's
is the
one
name
answer I
backdraft?
have.
What does it suggest? It's the draft of air coming in and the fire's going back to that draft, straight out like a rocket. Smoke explosion is more of spreading out through everything.
Yeah, I think this video shows that it takes a few seconds to get there, but.
This is the European one, isn't it?
Well, no.
The Dutch.
I know Insight does a lot of stuff over in Germany. I believe they go across the pond quite a bit to do some training. So it's a ventilation change. And the smoke's not really pushing out too much. I mean, it's not black.
Major explosion. Members are down. Oh my God.
I think they had
Jesus Christ.
several crews on the roof. You see them all scattered here just a second there. Maybe. I keep hitting the wrong button, Tyler.
The explosion got you excited after click.
Maybe so. And then all coming down.
We're getting everybody down. We're getting all the ladders and all the members out.
All right, who goes to the front porch and masks up on the front porch? We're getting ready.
You all do it. I know you
Yeah,
all do it.
front porch, yeah, just be aware. Now, these guys probably opened the door before they were ready, right? So it wasn't exactly coordinated, but just be aware.
Something you might think only exists in movies. An explosive backdraft injured 2 firefighters Monday in West Palm Beach, Florida. Firefighters were about to enter a burning home, but the force of the
door's wide
backdraft
open.
pushed them out of the doorway. The fire department said that backdraft ignited when they opened the door. Despite their injuries, the firefighters did put the flames out.
Like I said, no Monday quarterbacking, but just take the video and learn from it, right? So. All right, so just a quick review here. All right, does venting always equal cooling? And not always, all right? So, like I said, be careful with your venting. Make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, no freelancing, and make sure it's coordinated with an attack. Exterior fire attack is defensive strategy only?
No.
Not always, right? We got that transition. We're just knocking it down, never going any cleanup. Basement fire attack should be from the top down. All right, one of the most dangerous things that we could do is a basement fire from the top down, all right? Do your 360, make sure that you don't have a walkout. One thing that they did teach us in the blue card that I really liked was announcing over the radio whether the building had a basement or not on it, so everybody was aware of it on a, kind of on a 360, right? You
So
know,
that should become more of our standard operation is doing 360 and announce, I got a basement here.
yeah, absolutely.
Or no
And-
basement.
And we have,
Charlie actually did a really good job of it on that one.
I just heard. Yeah,
I said
heard him.
Charlie did it. It was really well done.
see, I didn't hear because I think he was on the main channel and I think I had on
Tac
Tac
two.
2, so I saw him on scene, but I didn't see.
No, it was
So good.
360 complete on a basement, access on the Bravo side.
Yep, so that's important to know, right? So, exterior fire attack will push fire, all right? Talked about that in the videos for water mapping, as long as you're using that straight stream at the ceiling, all right? Exterior fire will hurt victims. That's also been in this for you all, study that, resetting the fire and getting water on the fire quickly is actually gonna help the victims, right? Anybody seen the video where I know you, cause I think you shared it the other day, but they had 2 guys at the front door, one guy's trying to force it by himself. They had a fire coming out the 2nd story window, and the one guy's sitting there with his nozzle and hand line, and the guy's working on the door by himself trying to get it open, can't get it open, so the kid just opens the water from underneath and does a transition from outside, and Danner puts the fire out from outside. Well, the guy forcing the door was pissed because he wanted to get inside and do a fire attack, and that's just, I mean, what are we here for, right? You gotta remember that, put it out. The best way to aid victims is to vent the building and search before suppression. No, remember, sometimes putting water on the fire is gonna be the best thing for it. Put that fire out, makes everything better. That's just a picture of the lab, what you guys will see out here in May, all right? This is the burn chamber back here, all right? We'll be sitting down here in this area. Like I said, temperatures up here will be about, 1,000, 11, 1,200 degrees, and we'll be sitting about 300 degrees or so on the wall where we're at. So, we'll talk more about that when that day comes, when we do our walkthroughs before we actually burn. So, just a little video here, and hopefully what you'll see when the time comes. That's where he just penciling it, just to knock it back so everybody can rotate, and then here comes the flash.
Is the soundtrack provided, Clay, or do I need to bring my food box?
You'll be singing.
Okay.
Just put your Gmail in the back.
I'm in.
That's all I got today. Anybody got any questions on anything? Anything we covered?
Very good.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.